Yo, what's up YouTube? In today's video, we're hopping into my top 5 best setups you guys can possibly use. If you enjoyed this video, let's break 200 likes, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so for our first gun here today, we're gonna be taking a look at the GPR91. This is actually a really solid AR. Very little recoil, great damage range. Overall, I think basically everyone has this thing unlocked and leveled up. So this is a perfect gun for you guys to use. Apart from something like the XM4, if you want to switch it up, this is a great alternative option. So first thing in here, we're actually going to go in here, give you guys a few options on what you can use in the optics section. That's going to be the Kepler Micro Reflex is going to be a great red dot option, as well as the Acute Spot Reflex. These are very early level unlocks, so you guys should be able to have it. I know at least the Acute Spot is. I'm not sure about the Kepler Micro Reflex, but this is a very early level unlock. So even if you are leveling the gun up still, this is something you can use and still be perfectly fine with. One thing I really like is the Kepler red dot. This is a 1.25x magnification. This is a really solid sight to use. I run this on so many of my different AR builds. I like this a lot for playing Resurgence primarily. So it's really solid in that regard. Going on down here, what I think actually works arguably a little bit better for the GPR and the way you use this gun is the Jason Armory 2X and also the Willis 3x. So these are both absolutely fantastic. And I think you guys should be using these just because it's like, the gun is so easy to use. It's got such little recoil that you can hit those longer range shots without really having too much difficulty being fully automatic. So using the Jason Armory or the Willis 3x is going to be fantastic. And for this particular build, we're going to choose the Willis 3x. After that, in the muzzle section, we're going to go here and run the compensator. We pretty much don't really run the suppressor or really any of the other muzzle brake or the ported compensator. Like, we don't really run any of the other 3 attachments on any of the ARs. It's just not beneficial, just how they're built out and the way the meta works and the properties of the attachments. And it just doesn't work that well. So we use the compensator. This helps us out tremendously with our vertical recoil. You guys can see we get the triple green arrows, which is really nice. It does the absolute most it possibly can do for our sustained, fully automatic vertical recoil control. Barrel section, we're gonna go in here, and there's a couple options that people like to say you can choose from, but I'm going to tell you guys this right now. The only real option you should be using is the reinforced barrel, primarily because it gives you damage range and it also gives you bullet velocity at the same time. So I know there's people that say, oh, we get more damage range with the long barrel. Oh, we get more bullet velocity with the gain twist barrel. So I'm going to go ahead and select this since we're going to be choosing it, but I'm going to pull up the detailed statistics. I'm going to go right back in here. Before we do that, we can see our effective damage range right below the sort of, graph on screen here, the damage chart. We can see damage at effective range. It says 51.8 meters. That is exactly where you want to be, roughly right around that 50 meter mark for, your assault rifle damage range. That's going to be like your top damage profile. And of course, it's going to drop off a little bit after that. But you want to be able to have it right around there. And we can see our bullet velocity, of course, here above my face cam. We're at 936 meters per second. And you want to be in the range of about 900 to 1100. I mean, obviously, well, I should say 900 plus meters per second up, and whatever gets up after that is great. So you want to be right around there. But if I go back in here and choose the long barrel, granted, we get way more effective damage range. We get out to 60.5 meters. But we can see our bullet velocity is only 780 meters per second, which for a long range gun is absolutely horrible, and your shots are not going to be hitting. It doesn't matter if you have extra damage range, your shots aren't going to be hitting in the first place. So we want to make sure our shots actually hit. And the same kind of thing goes for the gain twist barrel. We only get 43 meters of damage range, which is pretty subpar, but our bullet velocity is almost 1100. So your shots may be hitting faster, but you have a lot less damage range. So realistically speaking, the reinforced barrel is the move. It is the best one out there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to be using this. Under barrel section, we're going to go in here and run the vertical foregrip. What this does is it gives us horizontal recoil control, much like the muzzle gives us our vertical recoil. This gives us the maximum for our horizontal, which is really nice. There's not a stock like we would have for the XM4, for instance, which will help with our overall recoil control more. We don't have that on this gun, so we just run that. Lastly, to round it out, we're just going to go in here and throw on extended mag 2, and this will be perfectly fine. It's going to give us 60 rounds in the mag. I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy. This is the biggest mag we got. It works out great, and so this can be your first build here for our #1 or top 5 guns you guys should be using. Next up, we're going to be getting into a build here with the Compact 92. This is a really solid SMG that I think you guys should be using. It's got a faster TTK at close range than the Jackal technically does. It just will drop off faster. But basically, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything short of maybe a shotgun that's going to do more damage at close range and actually still have some range to it. So this right here, we're going to skip the optics, skip the muzzle, go straight for the barrel, and I'll explain kind of a different variation in the setup you can run. But our first attachment is going to be the long barrel to increase our overall damage range. This thing, like I said, the damage will drop off, but because of the fire rates and of course what we're doing to the gun, it's going to be very, very effective, and you guys are going to absolutely fry people. People don't really get used to seeing the compact out there in the loot pool and stuff like that. So when you fry somebody, they're a little bit caught off guard. So we're gonna use the long barrel here, and I'll go ahead and show you guys the damage profile on it. It gets you out to about 12.6 meters. And generally speaking, you want to be right around that 13.5 plus. You know, I think we get up to about 18 meters with some of the SMGs, but relatively you want to be right around that 13 plus. So a little bit on the lower side, but we can see our bullet velocity, it's not that bad. Obviously, basically the range you're using this, it's hit scan, like there's not really a bullet travel time at close range. And then your fire rate is almost 1100 rounds per minute, which is what will put you way out there in terms of that TTKs, because you're getting so many extra rounds down range in comparison to other guns like, you know, the Jackal or the PP919. You will just do a whole lot of damage. So this is really solid. You guys want to do that. Next up in the underbarrel section, we're going to go ahead and throw on the Ranger foregrip here. This helps you with your horizontal recoil and your sprinting movement speed. Really solid things, makes you feel faster, stabilizes the gun out. You guys should be pretty effective with this. Magazine, we're going to go in here and throw on Extended Mag 2. The reason we're not running Extended Mag 3, I mean, even though like you can really make use of this because of the fire rate, I just think it slows you down a little bit too much. And I find Extended Mag 2 still gives me a great amount of extra ammunition. I feel like it's perfectly fine. It doesn't slow me down too much, and I still feel pretty mobile. So these are like my things that I really look for, and it's like I think that's, you know, perfectly fine to have Extended Mag 2 on there. Wouldn't suggest to go for Extended Mag 1. 40 rounds is not enough with almost an 1100 round per minute fire rate. You need the 50. After that rear grip section, we're gonna go back in here and throw on the ergonomic grip. This helps our slide to fire, dive to fire, and ADS speed. We like these things because slide to fire is such a huge statistic in this game. You'll notice that even if you go to the MW3 guns, they have like a 0 millisecond slide to fire, but they're really feeling kind of slow. So you don't really get the chance to, you know, optimize that with those guns, but with these guns you do. And so we want to make sure we're taking care of that. You will notice if you try to use something like only the commando grip, you're like, whoa, like my time to slide up and bring up my gun is very slow. And if you are doing that slide canceling, you will notice it. It's going to be a thing. So have that slide to fire, and getting your ADS speed is really good. And of course, a little dive to fire speed's cool too. We don't really be diving a whole lot, but on the rare instance we do, it does come in handy. Lastly, we're going to go to the stock section, and we're going to be using either the infiltrator stock or the balance stock. It really comes down to a little bit of personal preference if you want more aim walking movement speed, or if you want to have you know, these 4 extra things here: aim walking movement speed, hip fire movement speed, and strafing movement speed. But you get less of the aim walking as opposed to getting more of it here, but only 1 pro and not 4. So up to you guys which one to run. No real wrong way to go with this one. Just don't go for the other ones. Just choose between the 2 I told you, and you will be fine. If you guys feel like this thing has a little bit too much recoil, I'd suggest taking off the stock, going into the muzzle, and throwing on the compensator, and that should really tame the gun out for you guys. Though I personally like to not run that. I like to go for the stock, one of these 2. So that is my second build right there for you guys. For our third gun here today, we of course have to throw in the XM4. I feel like if I don't include the XM4 or the Jackal in a general top 5, I'm probably going to get a lot of questions and comments about it. So we're going to at least include this and give you guys a build you can really dominate with. First thing being optic. It's very similar to the GPR and what you guys can use. Kepler micro reflex. You guys can use the acute spot reflex. The Kepler red dot is something I absolutely love. It's pretty much like my exclusive go-to on this thing. So if like I'm making this out for like straight up resurgence builds and I'm trying to be truly really effective, I run the Kepler and I find that to be really good. But you genuinely also can't go wrong by using the 2X or the 3X. I'd probably say the 2X is my other choice, but the 3X, there's also nothing wrong with that either. So it's up to you guys, but I just go for, what is it? Where's the Kepler red dot? The Kepler right there. That's just what I go for. After that, we're going to go in here to the muzzle section, and this is like a non-negotiable. It's kind of like I was talking about the GPR. We really only want to run the compensator. So we're just going to go and run that. That's going to stabilize out our vertical recoil. And this gun right here is truly going to feel like it almost has 0 recoil. And that's why it is the #1 AR in the game until they start doing some updates. So barrel section, this is another case like the JPR where we don't have much of a negotiability. with what we're going to be running barrel wise. We're just going to go for the reinforced barrel. I much prefer maybe the visual look of the long barrel or the gain twist barrel, but the reinforced is just the best. It puts your damage range out there the best, your bullet velocity. If you don't have one of these, if you don't have both, you're going to be lacking in something, and that's not good for long distance. It doesn't matter if you're playing Resurgence or big map BR, you have to run the reinforced barrel. It is just the best. After that, we're skipping the underbarrel section, going straight to the magazine, and we're going to go down here and throw on Extended Mag 3, which is going to give us 100 rounds. I actually switched over from running Extended Mag 2, which gave us 60, over to Extended Mag 3, which gives us 100, and I was really enjoying running this and having 100 rounds in the mag, because you can, for real, just dispense an entire mag with the XM4 like it's nothing, just because you're trying to take out, you know, maybe more than one person at distance, and you're going to go through that full 60 rounds. So having the extra rounds in the mag does come in quite handy, and I found this to be my go-to now. Once again, used it for a little while, switched to Extended Mag 2, now I'm back to Extended Mag 3. So you guys want to go for that. Lastly, stock section here, we're going to go all the way down to the very bottom, use the buffer weight stock. This is pretty standard here. Vertical and horizontal recoil control does the absolute most for you. And this attachment right here specifically, in combination, of course, what we got already, does help this gun be virtually zero recoil. I have some people say, though, that they don't have the buffer weight stock. So we'll go and choose this, and this will be our full build. But if you don't have the buffer weight stock, go over here to the underbarrel section and throw on the vertical foregrip, and this will be your next best bet in terms of like how the gun is going to feel very little recoil wise. You should run this if you don't have the buffer weight. If you have the buffer, stick with that, but otherwise go for this and you'll be good to go. Next up for the SMGs is going to be the PP919. This is an absolutely incredible SMG, arguably one of the number 1, number 2 SMGs. Of course, we have the compact, which is better than the Jackal, but a lot of people still like to use the Jackal, of course. This will be pretty much like you can run this or the Jackal as like your number 1 SMGs. I just don't want to include the Jackal in here since I've done it so many other times. I just figured I should give you guys a build with this. And of course, this is a bit of a unique SMG considering we can run a suppressor on this thing. So you guys can legitimately run a suppressor on a build and not feel like you're missing out on something or taking away from a different attachment slot because you weren't running something in the muzzle category anyways, kind of like what you would do for the Jackal. So this right here is really awesome because this gun has so little recoil to begin with that you guys can just run a suppressor, and there's also no real underbarrel attachment to it. So you don't have to take away an attachment to throw on the suppressor. It's just kind of like we have something else extra. The iron sights are really nice. You might as well just throw on a suppressor and stay off the radar. Arrow section, we're going to go in here and throw on the long barrel, and I will tell you guys, this thing has unbelievable range. We don't need to run the reinforce or the gain twist. I'd say the long barrel is really solid, and I'll show you guys this here real quick. So our overall damage at effective range is 17.1 meters, and if you've ever watched me use this in any of my gameplays, you'll know that I've just been able to hit some crazy shots at range. Even with the ground loop PP919, you can still hit some pretty nice distance shots, and it's just because this gun has a great damage at effective range. It doesn't drop off too dramatically, unlike the compact that's really good for exclusive close range. This could be also used as almost like a bit of a sniper support in an SMG format. So it's really cool like that. Going down to the magazine section, like I said, there's no underbarrel to this gun, so that's why we can run the suppressor. We're gonna go throw on Fast Mag 1, which is gonna help us with our ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, reload quickness, while still giving us 50 rounds in the mag. Of course, it's not the basic magazine size or Extended Mag 1. Extended Mag 1 is very overkill. We don't need 85 rounds in the mag. It's cool, but it does feel very sluggish. So we are running this, and this gun doesn't have a crazy high fire rate, so we can realistically get away with that using Fast Mag 1. So I quite like that a lot. Now we're going back here to the rear grip section. We're gonna go throw on the ergonomic once again. This is kind of like my staple in terms of I'm making an SMG. I am going to be using the ergonomic. It is just hands down the absolute best for pretty much all scenarios. Doesn't matter how you're playing the game, you should be using the ergonomic grip. I like using the best stuff, so of course I'm gonna give you guys the best builds. I don't use anything else different. Like I use exactly what I show you guys in my videos, and there's no reason for me to not to show you that. I want you guys to be good too. Stock section for our final attachment, we're gonna go in here and throw on the infiltrator stock or the balance stock. It literally just comes down to what do you want more of. The balance stock gives you, of course, 4 things versus the infiltrator stock only gives you the aim blocking movement speed, but pretty much you will be good to go using either or. I will say that I think the infiltrator stock might be a little bit better for that strafe ability, kind of strafe back and forth on your ADS speed. When you're ADS, I really like that. So I will probably say to go for this over the balance stock, but I've used both, and they're great. So this is my full build right here for the PP919. And last but definitely not least, I want to throw an MW3 gun in here just because it's like, you know, these guns don't get enough love and they are still really good. And specifically the Super E46 is pretty much the fastest SMG you can still use in this game. So if you want to really be flying around the map and still have a great damage TTK, you know, great TTK, you should be using the Super E. It's something I know everyone's got leveled up. So let's go in here. First thing, skipping the optics section, obviously muzzle. We're going to go all the way down to the very bottom, the last one in here, the Fox 202 flash hider, because this gives us damage range. It helps their muzzle flash and their firing aiming stability. We really do care. I mean, we like actually all these pros and there's no cons, which is pretty nice. So we like all of this, and I think you guys should be using this. It's the best attachment. No real reason to go throw on, like, you know, the quartermaster suppressor and get less damage range. We don't need that. We're gonna go ahead and use this and make this gun really effective. Partially because in the barrel section, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go throw on that bore 99 short barrel. Like, if you want to be real fast, like the purpose of using the Superi is, or the Superi, whatever you want to call this thing, the purpose of using this thing is to be unbelievably quick. Like, this is that movement based gun where you don't got to do all the crazy YY stuff, but if you're really trying to slide around, glide around, like be able to break someone's camera every now and again, or get close to somebody or back away, this is the gun for that. So we're gonna use the bore 99 and to, you know, help increase all the benefits of this thing. So we're gonna go ahead and use that. In the rail section, we're going to use either the XRK Edge hand stop, which is going to give us ADS speed and sprint to fire, or we're going to go down here and use the Jack Slash. So it's up to you guys on what you want. If you feel like the vertical recoil is, you know, a little bit too much for you, then I'd go ahead and throw this on here. Or you can go ahead and use the XRK Edge. And technically speaking, you could use, what is it, the DR6 or the FTAC MSP98. Pretty much all those like little hand stops you used to have, you know, in an order in MW3. They all do the exact same thing. You can go through, look at the detailed statistics on them. They do the same thing. So I just choose this one because it's at the top of the category and I don't have to scroll down through like 40 plus attachments and find something that I can't favorite because they took away the ability to favorite attachments. So use this or the Jack Slash, up to you. Magazine, we're gonna go through on the 40 round mag here as per usual. Nothing really changed here. You guys should just be running that 40 round mag. It makes sense. You don't want to run the base 30, just don't do that. And lastly, we're going to go to the stock section and throw on that Rescue 9 stock, which is going to give us the absolute most tactical sprint speed, movement speed, sprint speed, and helps the recoil control. So all great things. It says it messes with your flinch resistance and aiming auto sway. I don't really believe that a whole lot. I think this gun still absolutely slaps like this, and you guys will have an absolutely incredible time running around in Warzone with this thing. It's not like got the craziest damage output, but you're going to be flying. You're going to have a great time. And of course, if you go over here, you can see the damage at effective range is still 11 meters. It's still pretty solid for what we get out of this gun movement wise. You can close that gap really, really quickly. So that's my top 5. You guys enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on. Check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.